Welcome to a different sort of episode. I'll first introduce my guest. We've got Conor Dragsy Lyons. How are you doing, Conor?
Yep. Yeah, I'm good, man. How are you?
Not too bad. Fucking warm, like.
Oh, stop.
Yeah, typical Brit over here complaining about how cold it is, and then once it's warm, starts kicking off about that either. You know.
Yeah, sure, stop. I'm the same anyway.
Yeah, never fucking happy, are we? Not going to be an interview today, which is probably kind of surprising, seeing as I've got someone who would get me quite a bit of viewership if it was. But I'll use them twice. I'll double dip. So this episode's going to be more looking over the ICL Summer League, which is officially kicking off actually tonight. As at the night or at the time of recording, which is kind of annoying. I'll have to have a word with Kurt about that. I've been trying to keep it secret that we were going to do this because I know you were maybe going to be doing an interview for other people, so I wanted to wait and see. But yeah, annoyed at Pearman for obviously getting a match out of the way before this is even live, but it is what it is. I think it's going to be best of two until both the groups have finished completely, then playoffs and all that stuff. But I decided I would get one of the actual players. I would borrow his expertise. He's going to be taking part in. This is hilarious. I can't even remember. Hold on. I've got it somewhere in my notes. There we go. In Washed, because he is now retired from streaming, taking a backseat, and presumably, definitely going to be the support player. Doesn't want any of the fame or glory on this
Of
team.
course. Got to take a humble step back from. Got to let the ego go down a bit from the streaming. So,
Oh yeah,
of
that
course, of course, I'll be the least vocal in this team.
Yeah, definitely. Shrinking your huge ego, as I've heard.
Of course,
You're a
I'm a
problem
terror of the
child.
scene.
Yeah, exactly, mate. But so we're just gonna go through the teams. I say go through the teams. We'll go through some of the teams. Some of them aren't worth talking about, but of course we'll mention when they're not worth talking about because who doesn't like some drama stirring up and
Oh,
all that sort
definitely.
of crap. But we'll start off with probably UICS just because they're second in the list, first in my notes.
Yep.
Um, what is your initial for obviously because I'm not showing the team list. The team is Cartel, Fletcher, MCN, Haz, and Rengoku. And they have two subs, but we'll give a miss on subs for now because
Yeah.
not an integral part of the team. What stands out to you about this team, and where roughly would you place them? Not like specific, just top, middle, bottom in the overall standings.
In the group, yeah, like originally looking at them, I think they're a good team. Like obviously you've got Cartel who's been kicking around for a while, like decent player, not nothing special, but no, he's still a good bloke. Like he's an alright player. And then obviously you got Fletcher. Fletcher again is a player like you looking to play. He has his moments. Like he can actually be a really good player on the server. I think it just does depend on how he is feeling on the day. So I wouldn't rule him out entirely. And I think he does like like I said has his moments, so he's alright. And then you've got Owen. You got McNally, who I think is a pretty decent player from whenever I watched him play. I haven't seen him play as much as I think I'd like to, but I know
Yeah.
he kicks around in the UK scene quite a bit, and he's an overall decent guy. I think like as a core of those three players, they do like if they work together, then definitely they can make something happen. I'm not quite sure about the other two guys. I've heard of Haz kind of a little bit, but again, I don't really know how he is as a player.
Yeah.
In regards of their placements, I could see them anyway achieving like top four, top five in the group. I wouldn't completely disregard them as a team. I do think they have the potential to somewhat place in somewhere around the middle of the group, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I would kind of go with the same sort of route. I know previously Fletcher has sort of, I don't want to say being the IGL for teams, but certainly the captain. Sort of, I remember him kicking about in qualifiers where he'd grab a couple young ones who can hit shots, and then he would just sort of be the guiding light to try to get them into whatever land they're qualifying.
Yeah.
They're currently 6 for 4 in open. They do have 4 forfeit wins, so read into that what you will. But Fletcher, he's actually been playing quite well for them, so he might be the standout one. I'm gonna go the same. I have them sort of like a middle of the group, sort of kicking about that area. So your fourth
Yeah.
or your fifth. For anyone who obviously doesn't know, Group B has 8 teams, which they are in, and then Group A has 7. So everyone gets a bye, the lovely bye week for people. So next on the list, we do have group stage speed run. We'll not spend too much time on this, but I'm gonna sort of be looking towards maybe Quiggs. Quiggs is quite like he's probably one of the more serviceable players on this team. You obviously have Buchel is probably gonna be your IGL, because I know he calls for UCDB last season at least.
Yeah.
You know that's good and bad. You know he's got a good head on his shoulders, but sometimes the team seems to lack a little bit of
I
direction or
think
whatever.
personally for me, I think Spizzy is going to be my standout player.
Huh.
In terms of from what I've seen him play, he's very, very talented. Like he got a strong head on his shoulders, a really good entry fragger as well. I think him obviously, and as you said, Quiggs. Quiggs again is another player on that team who would want to be on his game if they were to like pick up some results. I think in terms of those two, in terms of firepower, it's quite good.
Yeah.
No disrespect, obviously, to Sam and Nuncle and stuff like that. They are good on, again, as I said about Fletcher, they're good on their day, but is that good enough to get them into a higher place in the group? I think they'd want to, that this is definitely a team that wants to be firing on all cylinders before they can even consider like getting anywhere notable in the group and making it to playoffs. So I think it's definitely a dark horse of a team, but like I said, they'd have to all be on their A game if they wanted to get some results.
Yeah, and I think they're gonna like placing in their group's gonna be quite rough because you have the likes of Magma Gaming, Miram Dons. I don't wanna, I thought it was initially my Rim Dons, but I hope to fuck not. And then you've got like Munch Bunch and a couple other strong teams. So they might be kicking around. If they play well, I think they'll finish fourth. Hopefully, if they really kick off in that group, but it
Yeah.
might be a little bit. I think they're gonna have a couple really bad weeks, um,
Yeah,
in the group.
just looking at that group, I don't think it's as stacked as Group B, but like you said, there is some pretty strong competition. Like you look at Magma Gaming, I think hands down they will top that group.
Yeah,
The best game in that group will be Myram Doms and Magma Gaming. That'll be a really like that will be a good that'll give the viewers a good idea of where those teams are at in terms of how far they'll go into the tournament. Like you look at Magma Gaming, you have Cass, Biggin, EJR, brilliant players, Denny Ham, like very stacked team
yeah.
for this tournament. I think in terms of their run, they'll go quite deep into the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, we might as well jump over to them just while we're on the topic. For anyone who doesn't know, Magma Gaming consists of, as you said, Cass, Biggin, EJR, Denny Jamon, or is it just Jamon?
It's Denny Ham.
Denny Ham the Great, yeah, and Kior. God, I should really like ask some of these players. Like, I hate some people's names in this scene. Holy shit.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, no, they are gonna top the group and probably looking to make a really deep run into playoffs. Currently they're 7 for 3 with no forfeits, which is the only team I've sort of found at least on ACA Open that have no forfeits and are doing really really good. And they generally kick around Nuke, Overpass, and Vertigo, which is also again quite a standout for. So like they're gonna have a map pool advantage going in as well as probably just a skill advantage. Um, and it goes without saying, looking to cast to make his big ICL tournament return. Um, After furiously being banned.
yeah. Like looking at this team, I can't really see any cracks. I don't know much about Cure as a player, but if they're, as you said, 7-2, 7-3, and open, then clearly it's a very solid lineup. So I mean, like I said, I don't think there's really much stopping them in the group. Maybe Myram Doms will give them a run for their money.
Yeah.
They will, as we'll get onto them, but they have a pretty solid lineup as well. But I think now, in terms of pure skill, there isn't much that's going to stop Magma Gaming from topping the group. I do think they're a cut above the rest.
Yeah, no, definitely. And then obviously we'd move on to a little bit of potentially patting on the back whenever we look at the team washed or washed up as your logo. Very nice logo. I assume that was clipped. Or did someone go into paint and whack that up?
I'd say that was Lyons' job anyway. Something tells me he got very into the intricate details of our team on the website.
Yeah, no, it's what, like big up to you guys because looking at the other logos, OT Bandits are doing. I do love Tito Clock though. That logo
Oh,
is very nice.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's terrifying, but it's it's very well done.
Yeah, so you know what? I'll let you run with this. You can introduce the teams, the players, and maybe a little bit more detail on who's going to be doing what or how you put this together, or
Yeah.
even if you literally just shit, we need someone. Just sex it up a little bit.
All right. So for those who don't know, the team of Wash consists of myself, Ledian, Aiden, Bayoko, and Danny, and we've got Ekip playing in as a substitute. Pretty much the main five anyway. I was talking to Aiden about this team because he wanted to do it with me, and I was more than happy to team up with him for this. And we kind of just wanted a very like relaxed team that doesn't have a lot of like big ego heads on the team.
Yeah,
Like no one that's gonna make put people off from playing the games and stuff. So we kind of just went with the right. We'll get Letty in. He's chill enough. Obviously Adam Lester. He's calm, and then Danny as well. Like I feel like it's just a team that won't lose the run of themselves if things kind of go a little bit south. So
yeah,
I think overall we're a strong lineup. Um, Not one that would have practiced much together, but obviously we've been in and out of teams over the years. We kind of know how everybody's play style works. I think as a team we wouldn't be the best. I don't think we'd be the best in our group, but enough to anyway challenge for like at least a top two placement. So I think no, I think we definitely have the potential to go quite far into the tournament, and I think no, I'm confident. I'm happy with who we've managed to gather for this for the tournament.
yeah. I mean, I sort of thought that whenever I was looking over the overall list of the teams, like these are I could tell it was a mix, but at the same time, obviously you yourself and Bioko are the standout players, I would say, on this team. Like everyone is pretty good, and having Ekip in reserve as a substitute, it's not like you're dropping anything if he steps his way into the lineup for a game or so. So
Yeah.
like you are quite stacked. Obviously, it not being practiced, could come to haunt you. Although, like looking at your group, I would say you match up pretty well with, I would say, any team within the group.
Yeah, and as well, like you look at myself and Bayoko, like Adam would probably be one of the best, like the most solid
Yeah,
anchors I've ever seen in terms of a bomb site. Like he's so calm under pressure. He's like he knows when to drop his util, how to move in and out of smokes and everything. Like very, very skillful player. And then you've got Aiden, who, as we said, we don't practice, but Aiden's a very confident caller.
yeah,
Even with like we're so you could say we're working with very little in terms of like strategies or anything, but he's very good at calling on the fly, especially mid round. He can read the game quite well. And then you have Danny as well. Danny can pop off. I've seen Danny have really good games as long as he can keep the head on the shoulders, doesn't let the game doesn't tilt. And then obviously I think myself, I'll probably be the main opper. I can't imagine
yeah.
anybody really challenging that. Obviously, if there's a spawn or whatever, if we were playing double op, then yeah, I don't
Go
mind.
for
But I
it.
think that we kind of had the roles kind of almost fit themselves basically. I don't think there'll be very much like conflict on positionings or anything. Like I think we're kind of just going in to have fun, and then obviously as the further we go, we'll start taking it more and more seriously. And who knows? Who knows where we'll end up?
Yeah, I definitely as well too. Hold on, just quickly check. Use our first going up against Free Cinco. I was kind of hoping you would get a wee nice start, but yeah, it looks like you are gonna have at least a little bit of an interesting game just straight out of the gate.
Very much so. I'm looking at the lineup and I'm a little bit taken aback. Obviously, the big name that stands out there is Ventake. We all know Tim. He's been beating around the Irish scene for years now. He's a very talented player.
Yeah,
Kind of like myself, doesn't really take it too seriously, like not looking to go into like any like teams or anything, but like in terms of raw skill, he's very, very, very talented. And then Jackman, I've played lots of ICL Jackman. I've even played one or two tournaments with him. He's again a very very talented player on his day, along with Han. Hannah has been kicking around for a bit. He's a good player. Not too sure on Cinco or Decilius Unicorn, but I know them from ICL and stuff. And
yeah.
again, very good players. And the big standout for me is Nalco sitting in the substitutes. I think if they can get Nalco into that core of Jackman, Ventake, and himself, then again, a very, very scary team for anybody that plays them. Hopefully not us.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, hopefully when Nalco's not on it. I mean, looking at the team, I agree with you. The silliest unicorn you've ever saw is actually, I've seen him like purely stats wise though in ice because I don't think any of his I think one or two of his games were maybe shown, but you have a tendency to miss individual players, but stats alone, he's actually a really solid player. I found myself talking about him quite a few times when we were doing icebreakers. And as you said, if they can sneak Nalco into the lineup, although from the way his team went at the end of the group stages on ice. I don't know, what. I don't know the guy personally, so I don't know what his tilt factor is or anything like that. Like, skill wise, phenomenal. But
Yeah,
it's if you would want him coming in every single week, it might be good to bring him in for the lesser teams to get him warmed up to the idea of playing one of the big teams. You might
yeah,
want to just bring him in straight away, just into a big match. You don't really know, I suppose, how that's going to
yeah.
look.
Well, I've kicked about with Lachlan a few times in terms of just poking and whatever, like, and I would say I'm pretty confident, like, knowing how he plays. Like,
Yeah.
again, extremely talented player, very good on the up. Not one to tilt too badly. I've never really seen him have like any. None stands out in terms of him getting really annoyed. I think there was maybe one time I was watching a stream of him in a UKIC game, but I mean that hub is enough to turn any man
Oh,
insane. So
I'd say so.
overall, though, very chilled out guy. I think he'd slot into that team no problem. I think no matter the situation, he's calm. He can play his position. He'll put a shift in. I think overall, very reliable player.
Yeah. No, and then obviously they've also got Sean underscore, who's also quite a solid player. So like I think Free Cinco in terms of the overall group, they're probably gonna be up there with yourselves in terms of challenging for that 1-2, on a really bad tournament 3 spot. But yeah, they're gonna be up the I would say the upper tier of your group definitely.
Yeah, and as we were saying before, like this group is very stacked, so I feel like it's an absolute wild card. I don't think anybody can say for certain where each team will end up, but in terms of free sync, I think like they'd want to be pushing for the first place spot in the group.
Yeah, not easily. And then from high tier to potentially low tier, I'm sure they wouldn't mind me saying it. We have Pearman, which is the roster of Belong, Ankle Joints, Jam Bobo, Anik, Kurt, and then on the bench we have Jeff and Carzo. Um, is there anything you want to say? I've got one or two things but I've not got too much.
Well, the boys, I think they won't mind me saying they're better on Quake Champions than they are on CS in my
Yeah,
opinion. I
easily.
think they're no look, they're solid players. I've seen Kurt have absolute unreal games in ICL pugs and stuff. Like he just like he'll pop off. Unfortunately, I think in terms of his own playstyle, he can have times where he's a bit inconsistent.
Yeah,
Like I think sometimes maybe who knows, because obviously this is a big tournament. Everybody's going to play different. The pressure might get to him. Maybe he might not be as reliable in terms of a clutch situation or something. I don't know, but. He's very capable of having a game, but sadly, looking at this team, I think he would be their star player, and I don't think that's enough to really get them too many wins in this group.
yeah. No, I would have a tendency to agree. I know Anik can be kind of solid. I think this team is going to rely, if they're to get anything, because I know tonight they're playing Freelo, which
Mhm.
isn't the roster. Unfortunately, has completely disappeared. I do have some notes, and I literally wrote down heard of Mac, so that should tell you all you really have to know about Freelo.
Yeah.
So I think Pyramid might be able to get a game. I think they could get a game off them. The team's gonna rely on hype. I mean,
Oh, absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
I watched when Jeff POV streamed a game, and I think Ankle Joints was in there. Anik might have been. I can't really remember the full roster, but it was just relying on getting a clutch, everyone getting hyped, and then just trying to run over the other team because they have to like those two individuals when they've came together have actually given good enough teams runs for their
Mhm.
money. But I don't think it'll be enough, especially on an elongated format like a group stage where you got to play everyone. You're gonna have some really bad weeks, and they might impact your potentially all right weeks.
Yeah, and free Elo seems like a nice game to get them kind of settled into the
Yeah,
tournament, but like it could end up being just I don't know, it could be false. Like they might give it might this game will give them confidence, but then they could just end up getting completely rolled by some of the bigger teams in the group. But who knows? Confidence is completely can give anybody like the edge. So they might pull a few wins out of the group, but I think in terms of placement, I'd put them where they're sitting right now, sixth. I think
yeah.
that would be a fair assumption, fifth or sixth, fifth at best.
Yeah, because whenever you're saying there, it might be nice to get a good start and all that. It's just like, yeah, forever the optimist, Connor, forever the optimist. Um,
Always have to see the best in everybody.
I mean that's how you stay popular, isn't it? Trying to be a nice guy.
Be the nice
But
guy in the scene.
yeah, it needs it sometimes. It definitely does. But moving on, we then come up with one tap langers, which is Zombinator, Aldi Ireland, Gabe, Chechi, and yeah, that guy. Um, I ain't gonna bother with that.
Burrito.
Oh, Kratos.
I think
Okay.
so. I think that's how you pronounce it.
I mean, I'll have to ask someone if I ever have to cast them. Although, unfortunately, looking at this lineup, I don't know if I will have to cast them at any point. Um, I mean, I've heard of one or two of these players. I know Aldi Ireland's always kicking about, chatting shite in Twitch chat and in Discords and stuff like that.
Very much a regular in my stream anyway.
Yeah, no, I think I saw him getting into a sub gifting war once or
Yeah.
something like that. And then obviously Zombinator has been around for a fair bit of time, but I've not really seen him reach too high highs. So I don't know. Is there anything that sort of you could say about this team to maybe dig them out of the hole that my very poor introduction has dug them?
You've not really left me with much room here. I look, like you said, I think we're the same. I know Shiasi and Zombinator both have kicked around the Irish team for a while, but that being said, like tenure it doesn't equal skill, and I
Yeah.
don't really think they're gonna. I can't see them really doing much in that group, albeit it's not a stacked as group B. I maybe they might grab one or two wins, but apart from that, I can't really see them getting too far. Could be curtains for them, I'm afraid.
Yeah, definitely towards the lower end, maybe battling out with Adams Midnight Toasty or something like that, to try to score a win. So after that, then and it is good to actually add they're 4 for 6 in open with 2 forfeit wins, and with them you're sort of looking Mirage and Overpass is their go tos, and the ones they've lost they have been fucking clattered in.
This
Um,
is one tap langers, is it?
Yes, they have been
Yeah.
slapped from pillar to post. But
And as we were comparing them to like Free Cinco earlier, obviously Free Cinco come across as a team with a much more deeper map pool, and one tap langers are just playing on the common ones like Mirage and Overpass. So I mean, it does kind of right itself in a way. I think they're going to be victims of their own demise.
yeah, I mean definitely when you're looking at the group stages, map home might be a bit difficult. If you can make it to playoffs, obviously it's ban pick pick, which might suit teams a lot better because Overpass is the staple of the Irish scene. Um, but it really depends if they can make it that far, and I don't think they will just straight up.
Mm.
So moving on to from potentially one of the bottoms of their group to potentially one of the tops of the same group, we have Marimdons, which is Orkin, Hunter, Complex, Churley, and Dr. Cock, with potentially Tobin as a substitute. Which, I mean, that would be some good crack seeing
Be a
Tobin
wild
kicking
card
around the silver
substitute
again.
anyway.
Yeah, definitely. This is a team which you can talk a little bit more about, so
Yeah.
I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, I'm looking at the team here, and like I could tell you so much about everybody. Obviously, Orkin and Hunter. I think they've just started playing recently together over the last couple of months, but like I think they've got very good chemistry. Obviously, we all know Danny kicking around the scene, another good player on his day. Again, maybe struggles with a little bit of inconsistency at times, and maybe the pressure gets to him a little bit. But overall, a solid head to have in the team. I think he's calm. He knows what he's doing. He understands and reads the game very well. Then you have a big standout for me is Charlie this year. Even just
Yeah.
watching him in Irish tournaments, very very surprised in a good way at how he's been playing in tournaments. Obviously, him and Bayoko in the last ICL tournament, they were just a force to be reckoned with. Luckily, we got one of the two of them anyway. But Shirley, no, he's a fantastic player on his day and very very strong. And then obviously you have Dr. Cock, who I've seen a little bits of. Not entirely convinced. Like he's
Okay.
definitely destroyed me in a few games at
Yeah.
times. But again, no, just another solid player to have on the team. I think definitely a very strong team. I'm just trying to think in terms of roles for this team. I think they come across as a team where everybody might be doing a little bit of calling, but I'd say the big voices will be Orkin maybe or Complex. I think in
Yeah.
terms of calling strats. That would be my only kind of criticism. But then again, if Tobin comes in, then he'd obviously be, I think, the main IGL, and again, a very wise player to have on your team. He might micromanage you a bit, but he definitely knows what he's talking about in terms of how to get a team to win a round or even win the game. So look, again, very, very strong team in my opinion, and could very well and challenge for that number 2 spot in Group A, just underneath Magma Gaming. Like I said, very interesting games will be had between them.
Yeah, and I think we're kind of spoiled because they'll be kicking off against each other. I think in the first week, which is obviously the standout.
Brilliant.
I think of the
Yeah.
first week, good way to get the season underway. But
Oh,
no,
definitely.
I agree with you pretty much on the way the roles work. I would say Charlie is probably going to be your last alive or second last alive because I think even just casting it, you just get into a pattern of saying Charlie last alive. He's probably going to win this 1v3 to the point where it starts to get boring. You know that it's so
It'll
consistent.
it'll definitely be a case of that or Hunter, because I know Hunter is very, very powerful in terms of a lurk position. If he gets his confidence up, he's very good at backstabbing teams. So I think if they work in tandem with Hunter's flanking and obviously maybe set up Charlie for a clutch situation, no, they're definitely going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, and I was a little bit surprised, I have to say, sort of like about your hesitation almost towards Dr. Cock. Maybe I just buy into hype a little bit too much, but definitely when I've seen him on the ice broadcasts, he's sort of been almost like the hard carry of his team,
Mm.
or like definitely up there quite a bit. And looking at their open play, 6 for 4 currently with only one forfeit win, and Orkin has been putting in hard shifts on some of their games. At least recently, he's been dropping the majority of their frags, and they play a metric fuck ton of Inferno, which seems to be their go-to. Which basically, it's really unfortunate. I think for a lot of these lesser teams where your maps are just going to be the constantly played, because if you're the likes of one tap langers and you pick over or Inferno, and this team is literally just day in day out playing nothing but Inferno, you're not even gonna have that, like, that familiarity counts for fucking nothing, like.
No. And the boys will barely have to lift a finger. Like it'll be curtains, as I said before.
Yeah,
There's nothing you can say. It just comes down to just skill at that point.
yeah. We then lightly touched on free Illos. I don't think there's anything else to say really about them unless you've had a brainwave in the last 2 minutes.
I don't think so. I'm
Yeah.
afraid. I think yeah, bottom of the barrel kind of team. I think it'll just be a seventh or eighth place for them. I'm afraid.
Yeah. Then we move on to Aroma, which is Simplify, Mick, Incipience, Charlie, and the Irish solution to Kenny S. Figgy S. Um, Looking at this team from my point of view, Incipience, I would probably put down as probably going to be the caller in this team, or very close. That sort of grandfather second caller sort of thing.
Mm.
But he sort of looks like the glue that maybe holds everything together, because I know the rosters had one or two changes before sign up. Figgy's obviously going to be taking on the role of the op, I would say. But he then again is another very strong voice. And I know Incipience, he's a nice guy, right? I don't want to say being a nice guy equally, like, it instantly makes you passive. But if Figgy really wants to, he might end up becoming the dominant voice on that team, which, I might get some flack for saying this. I don't want that happening. Like, in term for performance, I think you want to keep Adam as that caller, because Adam can pop off in his own right. But I do think as a caller, that's maybe like his strong suit when it comes to roles.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say that because obviously I've been to LAN with Figgy twice. I've been on his team, so I know everything there is to know about the man when it comes to how he plays and what he's like on a team. Figgy, I think, will be the main caller of this team. I think something tells me Adam will want to take a step back, and he'll actually want to focus more so on his own game than focusing primarily on calling. And I think Figgy is the kind of player who doesn't mind calling because he's still able to put in an absolute shift even
Yeah.
when he is calling. I think him calling almost gets him more so into the zone and actually like he really clues himself into how the game is currently being played, and then he somehow still manages to put performance after performance, and very much a blame F of the Irish scene. I think he's just a very strong fragger and an IGL. So look, I think this is another team. I think it's a bit of a dark horse for the group. Um, just another reason why this group is so stacked, because you're looking at, you've got Simplify, you've got Mick, Incipients. I don't know much about Charlie. You've got Figgy on this team. I think genuinely they could challenge for top four if they got the momentum underneath them. I think they're talented lineup, and I think if everybody's just firing on all cylinders, then again anything can happen. So I think you got to get Simplify into that entry role. You got to get Figgy obviously on the up, just popping off. You got to have maybe Mick in as the last person alive to win the clutch round three because I know he's very capable of doing that. So I think, yeah, again, another team that could the possibilities are endless for them.
Yeah, agreed. It will be like one of those teams that can do very, very well, or could, like, if they don't get it underneath themselves, it could get kind of ropey at certain points. Then
Definitely.
we move on to, and yeah, I'll agree with you, as you said, like towards the top of the group, definitely, if they get things going. Um, we then move on to Adam's Midnight Toasty, which is going to be the other complex, Cornflake, Darkness, Ulcha, and Samole. Um, there's obviously one standout player on this team, but I'll sort of ask your thoughts beforehand.
Mm. Not much to say in terms of performance with this team. Obviously, I know Complex, Cornflake, and Darkness. I think Darkness would be arguably the
Yeah,
best player on this team, or Complex maybe. I couldn't tell you much about roles. I don't know anything about Ulka or Somali, so I think again it could be another case of it could be another one tap Langers team just towards the bottom end of the group. I don't think they can really achieve much, especially with the likes of Miradons, Magma Gaming, even
yeah.
group stage speed run and WIT Vikings. I don't think they're any match for them.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm looking here, Darkness is probably going to be your upper. Like, I think he did it quite a bit for UCC. And then Complex is going to be your other name. And, like, sometimes having two people pop off might be all you need. But, as you said, it's going to be kind of ropey. I do think they'll be one of, if this makes sense, one of the better of the worst teams.
Yeah, probably.
But you really need that third player to tip the scales in your balance and really get you over that hump.
Yeah, exactly. And you need a solid core, and I don't think this team really have it. Like as you said, I think they're the best of the rest. I think maybe I could see them getting to where they're sitting now, just a fifth place. I think I think they'd have to be happy with that. I don't think I can really flatter them any much more. I think that that's probably where they're going to end up, sadly. But I suppose that's kind of just how it is in terms of just looking at the other players. I don't think they're any match for them.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, I have to agree with you there. So we'll move very swiftly on to WIT Vikings plus Kerbanji, which is Flip, Kerbanji, funnily enough, Adzo, Near, and is it Alan or
I think it's
whatever?
just Alan. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just stick with Alan. I have to say, I don't know too much about this team. I know WIT Vikings placed pretty well, all things considered, in ice. I don't know if very many people were expecting them to end up that way, so they might be able to take some of their form over. But I imagine you probably have a little bit more to say apart from complete made up speculation that I'm doing.
Yeah, I think the biggest standout thing for me is why is a player like Kerbenji playing at this level? I mean, I've seen so many videos of Kerbenji playing, and he's an absolute talent. He's unreal. I've very much admired him when I first started getting into the Irish scene, like just watching frag moves of Kerbenji. He's a very talented player, and to see him playing with this kind of and again, don't mean to be rude, but I don't know anything about the rest of his teammates. Like, fair enough if WT Vikings plays well in ice, but I thought Kerbenji would want to be kind of going onto a team that could go on and win the tournament.
Yeah.
So now I hope they prove me wrong, but on paper, this team looks like it's not going to go very far. Maybe taking a fourth place in the group if things go their way. I think they'll probably beat Midnight Toasties, One Tap Langers, and the likes of them, and maybe Munch Bunch as well. But I don't know. Just have to see how they play in terms that maybe they're a very structured team. They might have just that edge over other teams instead of people mixing. They actually have a few strategies. But yeah, no, very surprised by Kerbenchi playing on a team like this. But again, we'll just have to
Yeah.
wait and see what they're like.
What can you do, I suppose? I would probably put them within that fourth, fifth, maybe third if they really go ham. But I don't know. I think it will be kind of rough. And if you get to a team with a bit more depth, looking at your Munch Bunch or group stage speed run, it might start to get a little bit ropey for them. But, as you said, you would like to be proven wrong. But usually I find when you say things like that, you don't get proven wrong. And it's just a way to sort of be, a little bit.
It it do
Yeah,
be like that.
yeah, pretty much. Unfortunately, I think you're talking to someone who knows the tricks of just saying stuff to try to get out of any issues. Um,
I'm the
w-
king. I'm the victim of being the honest broker.
yeah,
I can
it
never. I
does.
never. I'm too on the fence.
Yeah, I mean, I for entertainment's sake, I just pick one way and sort of roll with it. You know, sometimes you lose and you look really bad, and then sometimes UCC beat UCDA and you look like an absolute genius. Like,
Exactly.
got to squeeze that in somehow. So we will move on then to the lads over at Munch Bunch, which is Ivar, Nico, Pinhead, Larry, Trill, and Consor. The lads from Belfast. Is there any particular points you would like to make about this team? Because I know a few. Well, I say I know. I've obviously watched a few of them do their thing.
Yeah, we played these guys, I believe, in one of the last ICL tournaments. I remember, unfortunately, we won, I think, something like 16-5, 16-4. In terms of a team, they're very structured. We were very surprised in terms of their T sides. They have roles. They have a decent map pool. They all kind of know what they're doing when a strategy is called. I think Consor's their main IGL.
Yeah,
Because I remember watching a stream back a couple of times. They are a structured team and they actually do really try to win games. Just I think at the end of the day, it's just their individual skill that lets them down. I remember as well they were very susceptible. They struggled a lot on their own T side and CT side. Like I think they didn't really watch their flanks or anything. They just kind of
yeah.
struggled with generally being backstabbed and stuff. But like a surprising roster because I think they do have the potential to be a lot better. But they just need to work on their own personal level rather than a team level. But
Yeah, and would you put that down potentially to individual decision making, not like watching their flanks or communication
I
sort of
think
thing?
I think so. I think they're very how would you say uh they're too readable. They're too one way.
Rigid.
Like they're too 1D. They're too one dimensional.
Yeah,
They kind of just have like certain like so like if their IGL calls a default, they're very much open to like they'll stay too still and they won't really kind of work around how the round's playing out. They won't really change up their structure. They'll stick to the same plan, whether it works or it doesn't. And unfortunately, that's not going to work for them because if one of them gets killed, they still stick to the plan. They don't really change things up too much. So I think yeah, it's a mixture of just personal skill level and maybe just struggling to adapt and read games a little bit better, which is why I said they probably just need to work on their own personal skill level before they can improve as a team. But overall, in terms of placing them in the group, unfortunately, I think it'd be a fifth place for them. I think that's all they could hope for. I think maybe they might sneak one or two wins, but overall, I don't see much happening with this team with the likes of the others. I think they arguably they could be best of the rest with Adams Midnight Toasties, but I mean, I don't know. Yet to
yeah.
see it.
I'm kind of like I'm torn a little bit because this is pretty much just a QB back six roster. From ice, which is why, as you said, they're so structured and they all know what they're doing when a strat's being called because they've pretty much already done a season together. And I did a video previously with Consor where he sort of described what his team is like, and they do really hammer home the whole like call for a flash, get it like literally 2 seconds later, and try to blind people because their ethos is like I think that it's weird. I speaking of Consor, they believe that they have the individual skill to make things happen, but they play more towards like you don't need skill if your opponent's blind sort of thing. But
Mm,
then against mixed teams, it can be really hard to do that. Like in ice, you have the demo to watch for a lot of teams, and you can flash in my position. But what you're gonna do when Draxy swings a corner like that you weren't expecting, you can't really do too
exactly.
much. I am a little bit more optimistic, which is really fucking weird and rare to say for once. But I would sort of put them. I put them probably comfortably above one top liners and Adams Midnight Toasty. Um,
Hmm.
I think their closest game will probably be group stage speed run. I think it'll be between them to sort of, or maybe WIT Vikings actually will be. I think they might beat them as well. I would sort of put them up. They would probably be looking for a third or fourth place finish individually. Like if you ask Consor, he'll probably be saying around there. And he'll probably say that they want to challenge for second, but nah, that's unrealistic, mate. They'll probably be looking to go for third. I'd probably put them fourth or fifth, to be honest. Um,
Okay,
um,
and the thing is, that's I like you were saying. I think their biggest test is those games.
yeah,
Like, it's just a flipping coin. Like, if they beat WIT Vikings and Group Stage Speedrun, then they get third. Surely they can't really drop the ball there. But again, they'll be very good games, and I think they'll need to really bring their A game if they want to try and push for that third spot because it's going to be a big test for them.
Yeah, and I hope they can just. I think I challenge my one of my first interviews I did with Buchel. I pretty much said like I want more teams, either teams that stick together for every ICL tournament, or teams from ice sort of sticking together and just trying to win these things with that chemistry and that strategies that they're running constantly. And I know they did it last tournament. Unfortunately, you guys clapped them, so it didn't really mean much there. But like, I don't know. It'd be nice to see teams that do all these things together actually do something. Although I know for the Queens guys, I think some of the Belfast players feel a bit isolated in the same, which is probably why they stick to the same five every time. Hopefully, we can break that a little bit. I've spoken to one of them before, but I suppose it's just sort of whatever way they feel the scene is towards them. It is what it is. You can't really get past that. But yeah, I would say probably fourth or fifth. Hopefully, maybe even third if they really kick it up a notch. Um,
Yeah.
and then, so we went over Magma as well. OT Bandits, fuck knows. Could surprise us, like, but I don't think so.
Could be a dark horse of a team. I couldn't tell you anything about these players, so I
Yeah,
don't know
we'll take the safe position and say bottom of the group. Not dead
exactly.
bottom, but towards the bottom easily.
Yeah.
And then to round out the team list. Oh, actually, that is majorly unfair. We will at least say who's on the team. Um, Scott, I Luxon, something like that. Ibo, Rem, and Kaksu. Fuck knows. I know Good Boy. I've heard of him before on the subs. Unfortunately, what I have heard of him, well, actually, I think I watched a stream where he was playing on it, and I thought he was. I'm not going as harsh to say brain dead, but I disagree with pretty much everything he was attempting to say should have happened. But you know,
Fair enough.
wouldn't be an episode without starting a fight with someone.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I will say, Drags does not endorse everything that I say. He's just merely a face on the screen right now while I try to start an argument with someone. We'll move on to the last team to round everything out. We'll go with Tito Clock, which is the roster of Jack, Dimitri, I imagine that is, Curdy, Jay, and V whatever it is. I'm really bad with pronunciations in general because I try to say every letter that's in the fucking name. Um, what would you say about this roster? Because actually, I know some names on them, so they could do like something small maybe at this tournament.
Yeah, it's very much an old school roster. I'm looking at a lot of the names here. This is the old Fox roster. I'm not sure if they
Yeah.
were kicking around in
Oh
the
yeah, yeah. I
the
think I
team
was
back
before
then.
some of these guys, surprisingly.
Yeah, these boys were definitely well known back in like 2017, 2018 as like the Fox roster were a team that played quite regularly and were
Yeah.
very they stuck together basically for quite a while, and they were a decent team. I think they were okay at the time. Um, but yeah, no, it's nice to see these names coming back because I haven't spoken to a lot of these lads in a while. Like you see Curdy, see Jay, obviously Jack coming back in. Jack's kind of kicked around for a bit, but he's goes inactive every now and then. And then you got Dimitri. I think it's his team that just wants to mix for the tournament. I don't think they're really going to bring anything to the table in terms of strategy. But again, I think in terms of this group, they could be a dark horse. They definitely have the potential to take a few maps off people. Um, just remains to be seen if they actually can do it. I probably would put them around fifth in the group. That's probably where I'd leave them.
Yeah.
Uh, I think they're definitely better than the likes of OT Bandits and then Freelos. I think if they could take a map out, if they could beat a Roman, then anything's possible for them. And even I'd say they'll beat Pearman. But yeah, I think in terms of their toughest games will definitely be UICS and Aroma if they want to place high in the group.
Yeah, I would probably echo that sentiment. I'd probably stick it around fourth or fifth, to be honest. And as you said, like they played together years and years ago, so they could really kick it off a little bit. Jesus, yeah. Actually, thinking about it, fuck, they have been around for a while, haven't they? I remember that Fox lineup whenever they just started, and they turned up with all the jerseys and stuff. I think one of the players came over from like Oh, was it
Heard he
one?
came over from Norway.
Yeah, came over from Norway, and his dad was there in like the all army camo shit. That was a
Yeah,
throwback. Holy
I
shit!
think
Like,
I think the lineup was Curdy, Minty, Jay, Dimitri, and Complex, who is
yes, and then,
staff members over at ICL now, a very formidable figure in the Irish scene.
yeah, and then I think they switched one of them out for wasn't Swaggy, wasn't no, it was somebody that began with an S that ended up getting vac bans or something like that.
It was no, it was Sketchy Mick,
Sketchy,
who
that's
was
it.
actually
Yeah, yeah,
play
yeah.
who is now playing in the tournament.
Wait, what
Funnily
name is
enough,
he playing under again? Is it?
he's playing. Well, his name's Mick. He is playing with. Trying to find him here.
You about to be a golden snitch?
Hmm. Who's he playing under? He's playing with Aroma. Yeah,
Oh, right, man.
yeah,
Okay. Oh,
yeah.
okay.
If this is
I
if
will.
this is the same Mick, I'm because I remember Sketchy did change his name to Mick. I think it is him. Yeah.
I will say,
Great.
I because they played in the last one as well, and they beat Munchie Bros. Which okay, I will say like I don't have a problem with people with vac bands coming back in after a couple of years, but changing your name is the biggest like it's the biggest bitch move, isn't it? Like, and hoping people don't remember. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't really mind it. Like, if you get vac banned, you make a mistake, you come back, whatever. Um, and will not drag up old shit because I'm pretty sure when that Fox lineup made the switch, there was a lot of bad blood. When that initially happened, but you know, kudos to him. Just yeah, don't switch your name. I'll at least remember whenever if I'm casting, because you know, surprise, surprise, I chat all this shit and then I go on to be a caster, pretend to be an unbiased source. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I will say, if we had to choose, so looking at both groups, obviously, you know, trying to pick the top three of the groups fucking easy. But if you had to say like pick a team from each group as like a potential surprise, you know, one of those ones where if they finish towards the bottom, no one's surprised, but someone who could, if they got the momentum, could take a couple maps and middle of the table. You know.
Mm. So we're kind of looking at the fourth place teams basically in each group.
Yeah, and trying to see if anyone could surprise potentially and go towards the top.
Hmm. You kind of caught me there. I think for me anyway, it'll be for Group A. I think you've swung my opinions. I'd be inclined to say Munch Munch now because I think obviously you very much hyped them up, and we both had a lot to say about them in a positive mindset. Anyway,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think I think I think if they did really get their shit together on an individual level, then yeah, definitely I could see them getting into the playoffs. For Group B, because
Bit of
obviously
a
Group B is
harder
a lot
one.
more stacked. Yeah. I'd be inclined to say maybe UICS,
Yeah.
I think, or even Tato Clock. I think Tato Clock. I wouldn't be surprised if they did finish towards the bottom of the group, but I think they're very more than capable of achieving top four if again they just get the right wins in their favor and just something works out for them.
Yeah, because as you said, that top three is very much Free Cinco, Aroma, and yourselves and Wash. So it is. I would probably go with. Thing is, I want to go with UICS because I know I like obviously know the roster, but the problem you have with that is like Tito Clock, like they're not doing too well in open. And obviously, Tito Clock could just come in, but I'll nail myself to UICS. Unfortunately, you know Fletcher, come on, don't screw over someone who's commentating one of your tournaments, please, for the love of
Exactly.
fuck. Um, but yeah, no, like it's gonna be quite interesting. The default schedule for this tournament is supposed to be Wednesdays at 8 o'clock. Is when I think there's an A and a B stream going. People will be streaming intermittently throughout, and the B stream might even kick up on other days. But the hope is every Wednesday at 8 o'clock we will have at least two games to show. Hopefully a really good game, and then maybe a fun one that you can kind of watch if your mates on it. Just that sort of
Yeah.
thing. But I think we said earlier your first game is going to be. We laughed about it, Free Cinco, and I
Cinco.
imagine that's going to be Wednesday still, as far as I know, isn't it? Yeah.
I think so. Anyway, we're
Yeah.
kind of talking about the times at the moment actually as we speak. But yeah, no, it should be a Wednesday anyway.
Okay, so hopefully, as this will go out on Tuesday, so the day after, you can catch Drags. For his sake, winning. Being unbiased, I'm gonna say 1-1 or maybe a 0-2. But hopefully you guys can kick on and really give it a good old college try. No, I don't know why I'm chatting about you. Like these are shitters. Like these are a pretty stacked team. Like no, but
We're more than capable of taking our wins.
yeah, exactly. No, just being a dickhead is normal. But yeah, I think from me and you, is there anything you want to shout out or do anything like that? Because I know recently you've taken a step back from streaming, so maybe you're trying to funnel people into some other Ponzi scheme.
No, I'm not actually surprised. I'm not going to do some big Return of the King comeback story. I think, yeah, in terms of my streaming, as a lot of people do know, for anybody who doesn't, I've taken a step back from streaming indefinitely. I've left the ICL staff team as well, and left the Chats organization just to focus on myself. I think I was just as work was coming back, COVID was winding down. I just needed to take a break. I wasn't keeping up with streaming. I was kind of letting a few people down and stuff. So I said it's better just to kind of end on a good note than let it fester into some other bullshit and like nobody's happy. So I think it was a bittersweet way to leave, but it was more than necessary to make the decision. It wasn't easy, but we move, and maybe someday we'll come back to streaming or even maybe a little bit of casting within the Irish scene or something. But for now, we're putting a pause on things, and I think, yeah, I don't really have anything to shout out other than my Twitter, which obviously will be down below.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think I'm good anyway on my end.
Yeah, and even on the top of that, like you could literally return in however long, and I think people would instantly be there because it's all the outpouring of support on your Twitter. Obviously, I didn't say anything because fuck it, you're
You're
leaving
you're
stream
you're the
thing.
you're the little journalist just skulking around Twitter. Can't have an opinion.
Yeah, just collecting all the tweets. Don't know who I'm gonna burn to the ground
Can't be
next, sort of
too
thing.
can't be too biased to anybody.
Yeah, even shit on my mates from time to time. It is what it is. But yeah, no, I think as you said, you could probably return whenever and just jump straight in. And even with casting, like to be fair, anyone's getting a casting gig now in Irish CS.
Yeah.
There's a lot of names that have came in recently that will be casting if they're not playing on Wednesday. But yeah, I don't think I have anything to shout out. Obviously, like and subscribe, all that, good shit. Get the interactions up. Even if you think I've talked complete bullshit and Dragsy isn't enough to make you upvote it, downvote it because it's all interaction and hate boners are boners nonetheless. Um, Anything shout out? No, I would say one of my mates, his girlfriend watches everything I do, so big up Sarah if she's watching. Um, Appreciate it. It's actually kind of weird to see someone's other half like get completely into Counter Strike and all, and not just think it's complete nerd shit. Which let's be honest, we're all playing video games. It is complete and utter nerd shit. Although CS is a chatty sport, right? I'm getting my dinner soon anyway, so we'll sort of wrap this up. Yeah, I'll probably not be doing any more content really about ICL Summer League just purely because timing and stuff like that. I don't want to be casting on a Wednesday, potentially casting a weekend tournament too, and then doing something on the Thursday. So if you want to watch me, I'll probably be casting for ICL fairly regularly, either King of the B stream or on the A stream. So just depends how outrageous I want to be. But yeah, from me and Draxy, enjoy whatever the hell you're doing after watching this complete clusterfuck.